Good morning from Los Angeles, California. Welcome to Got Your Back, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Fencing and Decking. Do it once, do it right with high-quality, maintenance-free vinyl. Those are my brothers, Rick and Rob at DLR Vinyl. They've got locations in Calgary and in Edmonton. The weather is getting nicer, so as you're sitting out on the deck, taking a look around, surveying what you've got, ask yourself, is an upgrade in order? And if it is, why not do it in vinyl? Why not call my brothers at DLR Vinyl? Worst case scenario, you'll get a good chirp about me during the phone call, even if you don't buy a thing. As we say good morning to Terry Ryan and Jason Strudwick, back by popular demand, TR. The internet went crazy when we had you on, buddy. We had to have you back.
Good to hear. It's good to be with you guys, and I love a good reason to come back.
yeah, for sure. Hey, how is it for you staying up watching these Oiler games? I asked you that last time, but this is a crazy schedule you keep, man.
I'm not kidding, because my daughter had provincial soccer camp at 8 a.m, so I went to bed at about 3:30. I told you I wasn't joking. I do get little snippets of sleep. Night the most, maybe 3 or 4 hours, but that's the way my life is. It's all over the place. I'm going on a press tour tomorrow with Shorzy. I'm writing a roast for my buddy's buddy, Joaquin Gage, who I've met. I don't know him all to pieces.
We
but
can
I
help
write a
you.
roast for that.
We can help you with that. Struddy, where's the first place you would start, Struds?
His clothing choices. Listen, I'm not exactly
you're not
Don Johnson, but
you're not, Struds.
I'm lucky I'm a good-looking guy, so I can get away with it. Gager isn't quite. He's neither. He's not the best-looking guy, and some of his clothing choices. I'm like, my head turns. I'm like, what? What's he wearing today?
This is good to know. And by the way, Struts, I probably told you before, my first memory of you outside of on the ice was it was during the NHL draft. It was at Cowboys. Yeah. It was great. I just all of a sudden met everybody from the Western League that I've been playing against. You were doing the Macarena and you were wearing purple, and they looked like skinny jeans. They might have been cords or whatever was in them, but they were purple. I know that.
Wow.
Out of my time, boys.
Wow. And skinny jeans. That surprises me, because I've only ever seen you in clothing like 3 to 4 sizes too big, from what I recall with your old suits and stuff. It was baggy stuff you had, Struddy.
Well, I had a lot of body to cover, right? You can wear the tight ones, you got to wear them bigger. No,
he was making a statement. I remember that. It was a statement-making outfit. It wasn't accidental. It was.
I remember that
draft. He was a vet,
Well, I remember that because I was in Edmonton. The draft was in Edmonton, and almost everyone who went drafted, we all went to the same bar. And it was like, you're right. It was like, for that, that I would have been drafted the year before, but it was like a huge snippet of all the guys who go on to play a long time in the NHL. It was crazy. It was crazy how good many people were in there.
It was phenomenal. And like I said, most of our team was from there. But the other thing, the draft was going on. But I was going with Damon Lankow, went 5th. Lanks is from Vegreville. A bunch of my buddies came. There's all kinds of Newfoundlanders living in Alberta. I mean, Fort McMurray's the second biggest city in Newfoundland. And then you got you guys had just won the Memorial Cup. And we were all kind of pumped about that, right? Because everybody was there, from college to the OHL to the Q. And we wanted, you're in our territory now. And even though it's a few degrees away, Kamloops Blazers are Western League. We took them 6. Go screw yourselves.
Hey, you know what, Struds, when you guys won that Memorial Cup, I can't remember if you, I think you were there for that one. You played with Jeff Ainsworth, right? And won that Memorial Cup at home. Yeah. So when you guys won that Memorial Cup at home, I was playing midget AAA in Kamloops that year. And one of our fundraisers was to sell Pepsi and popcorn in the stands at the Blazer games. Mm-hmm. And one of my best friends growing up, Jeff Ainsworth, played minor hockey together. He made the Blazers the year before. Yeah. And so as you guys were skating around holding the Memorial Cup up in the air, I was like Pepsi hat on, popcorn tray in hand, walking up and down the stairs, selling popcorn as a fundraiser for my midget AAA team. And the best part was Ainsey took a penalty, and I was coming down the row behind the penalty box. So I was in, when the play started, you had to sit down. And so I'm sitting down next to the penalty box. He takes a penalty, beeline straight into the penalty box, and he looks over and he sees me sitting there, and I got my hat on and my popcorn. And I was like, I took a thing of popcorn. I was like, you want? And he started laughing at the penalty box. And and then the next summer or the next fall, I made the team. So that was kind of a strange feeling for me.
Yeah, it's so great. So many great memories. I mean, those are good teams, but there was a lot of good players. And playing junior is a special thing, and TR, you know what I'm talking about. It's just a special time. You're so young. You make some of your best friends, or still some of my best friends. We still see each other. as often as possible. It's a great thing to do. I mean, whether you go on to play in the NHL or not, it's great memories.
Kamloops was a great hub for me too, by the way. It was great. If you guys played there, but I moved as a 14, 15-year-old out to Quesnel, BC and everything, right? I go down to Tri-Cities.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was a long trek home, but Kamloops was a nice hub. I had a lot of friends from there. R.I.P. Quentin Van Horlick, one of my real good friends.
Oh, buddy. Quentin was an absolute beauty, man. His brother Matty is a good friend, and Quentin looked after everybody, man. We trained together a bit in the summer, so
didn't realize that, Ryan. John Van Horlick, his father, we used to go out to his ranch and ride horses, and it was a real great experience for me. And I won't take up any more time talking about my summers back when I was a teenager, but I loved Kamloops.
Oiler fans are sitting here going, like, you guys know there was a playoff game last night, right? It's a podcast. We can BS like this a little bit in a podcast. You can hit the skip forward button if you want, but let's not make them do that. Time for the breakdown, fellas, brought to you by Park Mazda, where the newly redesigned 2022 CX-5 has arrived. Check out the brand new all-wheel drive sport design trim with its turbocharged engine and see the available colors and trims in stock at parkmazda.ca. All right. Another convincing win, 14 goals in 2 games. Struds, I'll lay it out there for you first and foremost. Where do you want to start on what you saw last night?
I went back actually and I looked at the lineup the Oilers had against the Winnipeg Jets last year. It included, guy Gaetan Haas, Juja Kerr, and no disrespect to those guys, and then some of the guys playing up higher in the lineup. With the additions of Hyman, Fogle, Kane, I mean, the depth on this team is so different. And it's really expressing itself so clearly. There's no doubt last night that, Connor and Leon got the guys going with the 2 goals. But, when you look at, you compare and contrast the same team a year apart and the additions that Ken Holland made, he nailed it. He got bigger, faster on the wings, guys that can score. And it showed last night. I mean, those guys scored 5 goals. 5 goals. They could have won it without anybody else doing what they did. It was a huge thing. And for me, guys, that's the biggest thing I take away is just the upgrade. And we're seeing that play out in the way those guys are scoring.
TR?
I agree. I totally agree with what Struds said. And, there's a lot of parity in the NHL. But if we go back a year, whatever the Oilers needed, I know it's only 1 game, but man, it was like the first game for Toronto. Like there were mistakes, but it's just like they had momentum. They seem to be by far the better team. And I love LA. I really do. Now that I'm watching them a lot, I just don't see them play a lot. I think they got great players. I don't think it's like watching Buffalo in November. Like there's players that, there's AHL guys out there. It's a good team. It's just that Edmonton are better. I love their response. Is it just me or did LA come out really hitting?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did it seem like, I don't know what the analytics on that are, but it certainly looked like it on TV. And the Oilers responded. It's not easy to go in anywhere and play on the road, let alone in the playoffs when people are going crazy, when guys like Brendan Lemieux are out there. And by the way, he cross-checks anybody on my team like that, and it's over.
That was brutal. That cross-check on Tyson Barrie.
These little interference calls, I can't remember, maybe Kulak, I can't remember who, but right after it too, immediately after, and you're like, come on, you got to call that. I get in front of the net, but my God, Tyson Barrie, who would blow over in a strong wind, and you're going to go in and cross-check him over the arm. It could have broken it. I don't like to see that, but you see that the thing I'm getting at is that the Oilers did not get intimidated, and it's easy to get intimidated. No one likes playing in that. The tough guys might say they do, but they don't. No one loves in getting hit and hit and hit to try to go towards a goal, but it's not a personal thing. It's a team thing. They were having fun. They were smiling while they were doing it. I thought if I was on the fence about the Oilers, not that I am, I'm saying in general, last night would have been a real positive, would have been a opinion-changing night for me. I mean, wow, I just thought they responded phenomenal.
Yeah, Struds, we've watched this team all year respond to varying degrees to physicality coming at them. How different is this from where they were 4 or 5 months ago? What did you make of that pushback last night that TR's talking about?
Yeah, TR nailed it. I mean, I thought specifically they were targeting Leon Draisaitl. And, Leon, there's a couple of times a reverse hit. Sometimes he just got plowed over. But, Leon got up and he kept going and got back in the fight. And that's the way you got to be. You got to show that you're relentless. It's a give and take, right? The Oilers got some good looks in as well, but I thought the Kings were really going after him. And that's what you need. And when Leon Draisaitl does that, everyone down the line is like, okay, that's how it's going to be. We're here to work. We're here to win. If Leon gets knocked down, he gets back up. Tyson Barrie, I didn't like that cross check either. He just kind of keeps playing. Kulak, I didn't like some of the calls on him. He gets back up. Like, that's how it is. We're here to win. We don't care what's going to happen. And if, we need to settle petty grudges, we're here to win and to get the not the 2 points, but get closer to our ultimate goal. So I loved Leon's response, and it was a mature response by Leon.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'll just give Chris the heads up who's at the controls. We're going to go to the Todd McClellan soundbite here as we go to the Average Joe's sound box. Average Joe's on Baseline Road in Sherwood Park. The atmosphere in there for all 3 games has been awesome. So if you're looking for a place to watch the game, definitely think about Average Joe's. I don't know if you guys heard Todd McClellan's press conference. I wasn't in it, because if I was, I probably would have asked a couple more questions. It lasted 38 seconds, and he basically walked in, said what was on his mind, and walked out. Take a listen.
You know what? We can do this really quick tonight. I can summarize it all up for you. We can all go home. We weren't any good. We're really disappointed. We got trapped playing their game. You can ask me about individuals. I'll give you the same answer for all of them. They weren't any good. And we have to regroup tomorrow. Grunny didn't play because he had an injury. Anybody have anything else? Good night.
PR, what's your read on that?
On that particular statement, I don't think at all. I don't think that they got trapped playing the Oilers game at all. I think the Oilers responded to their game, and they responded well, and then they added everything else that they had. But, just to reiterate, and if it's not, Draisaitl was definitely targeted. Yes, I agree with Struds. But a couple other things. Connor McDavid I think it was the 3rd goal or the 5th. He's down. He did all the corner work. The goal happened about 10 seconds later. This is the fastest, most skilled guy in the league, and he's down there working the corners like Tim Kerr in 1988. I mean, to me, it was very impressive. And that, to me, is not the Oilers game. Connor McDavid can do it, but if you want to grind, we'll grind, right? But it's not like they were going end-to-end speedsters. The other thing, I knocked him in the first game, Puljujärvi. I don't know what the word is, but that game, I thought he was effective. Whatever made him a prospect up until this point. This right here, I love the package of game that he gave. He gave one giveaway. Other than that, third goal. It was all his work in the corner. Again, it was early. It was probably 10 seconds before the play happened, but it's Puljujärvi. He took the right shots. He went to the net. He used his strength to his advantage. He didn't back down, and. To finish, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins as well. He had a bad first game, and he looked a bit timid at times. Maybe that was nerves more than actual physical intimidation, because last night I thought, outside of the 2 goals at the end, it's just he made some nice decisions, and he went to the hard areas.
Yeah, I love the way you framed that, because I think those are 2 players I identified at the start of the series, 3 games ago. Puljujärvi and Nugent maybe weren't up to what they needed to, but I think you're seeing every game more and more Oilers players get in that fight. We can talk about scoring goals and we can talk about, defending, but it's all about winning battles, one-on-one battles. And that's against the guy, whether it's a face-off or in the corner, or as you say, going to the net. Hyman, his goal, beating someone down the wall and getting to the front, like all those things are the one-on-one battle. I think every Oiler really competed last night. And that, to me, is the biggest thing. And I feel for Todd McClellan. It's pretty hard. He said he didn't do what they wanted to. Well, I think they went out and they were going to try to pound the Oilers in the ground, but the Oilers, they're not that team. They're not the team now that is going to get, and no disrespect to the Tyler Ennis and Gaetan Haas and, even Jujar, the guys are a little bit more timid. They're a big group and they enjoy it. They enjoy the physical play. And that's really bodes well as they move through what I hope to be a 2nd round matchup.
Yeah, I want to hear from Jay Woodcroft here as we go back to the Average Joe soundbox, because I want to talk tactics and matchups in a second. But first, let's listen to what Woodcroft had to say about what he liked best about the night.
Was that composure, calm, really good communication. I really liked the talk on our bench. Even when the other team pushed a little bit at the end of the second period there, our guys are saying the right things. I feel a real esprit de corps amongst our group, people that are working hard for each other. And, it's a fun group to stand behind tonight.
Yeah, esprit de corps. I'm not sure what that means. I'll be totally honest. I was confused when he said it. You guys got any translations? No, nothing. I think we understand the basics of what he was trying to get at there. I want to make a point here about Woodcroft. We thought that coming into LA, it would mean more Danault on McDavid. That's not the way it went. He actually played more minutes against Anze Kopitar last night than he did against Phil Danault. And there were two instances where McDavid's line scored while Danault was sitting on the bench. The first one was the 4-on-4, guys, where Todd McClellan actually started Danault on the 4-on-4 when Woodcroft put out Hyman. So McClellan purposely threw Danault out there thinking it was going to be a mismatch. Hyman's line held. McDavid and Draisaitl came over the boards next against Kopitar, and it was a goal. The next one was on an icing. It was Kopitar versus Draisaitl. Kopitar's line iced it. It was right at the beginning of a shift for Draisaitl. Woodcroft still pulled Draisaitl off the ice, threw McDavid over the boards. They ended up scoring on that shift. A couple of matchup decisions where McDavid's line scores and Danault's butt is on the bench, Struds.
Yeah, it's funny. And I feel for him a little bit. I mean, he's trying to plug a lot of holes right now, and I think he's realizing that he has two centers, and he's probably two centers short. So he's trying to mix and match. He's trying to manage their ice time a little bit. But I think tactically for Woodcroft, he understands the matchups he wants. I think Kopitar had an off night last night. I didn't like his game. I thought he was just slightly behind and maybe getting a little bit tired. But I think that Woodcroft, he's understanding the matchups he wants. And I think Connor against Kopitar is a matchup I would look for. Just because Connor's so quick. And not that Kopitar can't handle it, but I think Kopitar and Draisaitl is a better matchup for the big man, Todd. And I think that Connor can play against that. And Danault's maybe a little bit quicker than Kopitar. That's the matchup I'd want if I was the Oilers for sure.
I like that matchup too. And I just think it's a little bit harder this year. Again, they're really deep. Like one of my favorite players to watch in the league is Zach Hyman. I just think he's a complete hockey player. And look how many times last night he's got the play, and he's relentless. And finally, when you see the opposing team, just let him go to the net. You know what he said? Just let him go. It's like you're seeing them kind of quit mid-play. It's like that's a real mental statement. That's a momentum changer, albeit subconscious at times. What I love about the response, again, going back to that, a little off topic, but going back to that, this is a statement. If they get out of this round and the other teams see that what LA just threw at them and they responded the way they did, what do you think if they play a team, let's just say they make the final, okay? Let's just say they do against the Rangers, because Panarin is not a guy that does that. I've been watching his games late, and I mean, he's completely perimeter, never goes to the net. I think if the best play the best, but this group brings the grit and determination that is maybe lacking. I just think it's intimidating for other teams. No matter what way you slice it, you had a physical game, and one team was led by two of the most skilled players in the league, and they were the most physical. And, I know McDavid's not out there flying, giving hits, but he's down in the corner. He's working hard. He blocked a shot. Again, that goal was directly a result of his corner work, not his end-to-end speed. Yeah. So to me, it's an intimidate. The way they're playing can be very intimidating if they're the opposition right now or in the future.
Struds, where do you think this came from for McDavid and Draisaitl? Because I'm not going to get into years past and too specifics, but what I will say is that element that TR is pointing out right now, that wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it is now. Is it strictly a product of not getting where they want to get and learning those tough lessons? Or do you think that Woodcroft or Manson deserve some credit for helping inject this into their games? Like, where did this appear from, do you think?
So I have a buddy who won, some Stanley Cup or a Stanley Cup. And he said that, what it feels like is that everyone on the team has to work like they're on the fourth line. And then they'll be physical and work. And then some guys have more skills, so they're able to score, because that's what it feels like. Everyone is just blocking shots, hitting, laying down in front of whatever they need to do. And I think that for Connor and Leon, they've that last one in Winnipeg, I think that really hurt. I really think that last series hurt. They were close, but they still got beat 4-0. And then you bring in guys that can show you how hard it is, how hard you have to work. In Hyman, I think that guy, he is so hard on his stick. And when you see that, if you're not working the same and you're in his line, it's clear. It's clear. And I remember playing against guys or playing with guys, and 2 out of the 3 guys were working hard and the third guy wasn't. It stood out. because you could see he was always the last guy in on the zone, or always the last guy back. Or you look at the stat sheet and it'd be like Strudwick, 0 hits. And the other two guys would have 2 or 3 hits, block shots. And you reveal itself. So I go back to that first game. I think we could have circled a few names of Oilers players who weren't up to the task, and they're exposed. And you can't walk into that dressing room, TR, and be like, yeah, we won, or we lost 4-3. I had a goal, but I played well. You didn't compete the way you need to. And you get exposed. And teams that win in the playoffs, especially ones that win the Stanley Cup, no one takes the night off, TR.
No, I agree. And something else that it's occurring to me now is that for a while, it was a little bit of a two-man show. I that might be extreme, but
yes, no, it was.
They might have been saving energy. Like if you think it's all on your shoulders and I don't know if I'm going to do the corner work. If I'm not going to work as hard in the corner, not out of lack of trying to be a good teammate, but I might need to make an end-to-end rush like 4 before 5 minutes left. I got to make at least 3 more if we want to have a chance. But if you know that everybody is on board, right, and it might pop out to Evander Kane, right, all of a sudden, Zach Hyman might do the same, and now all of a sudden at parts of the game you can be more of a supporting member of the cast rather than just trying to lead it lead by example and by scoring. But I don't think there's much pressure. I think they've learned how to deal with that. But to me, if I'm a player and I think it's all on my shoulders, I probably tend to save my energy at the wrong times when these guys are just flying because everybody around them is contributing.
Yeah, TR, that is such a great point. And here's why. Talk about a transition in the season. If I go back to when they made the coaching change, and if you think about the games that led up to that coaching change, Struds, McDavid and Draisaitl, they were taking it all on, right? Like if they didn't do it, it wasn't going to get done. Long shifts, drawn out shifts, a little bit of you could tell the pressure was so immense on them to get it done that they were just the habits that were forming in their game out of desperation. It's almost like when Jay Woodcroft arrived, somebody just put a hand on their shoulder and said, okay, fellas, we're going to get you some help. Mm-hmm. And Jay Woodcroft did that by empowering more people to start carrying a bigger piece of the load. And I think what that allowed these other two to do was to not feel so desperate every night to produce offense, to look around them and realize there were going to be other guys pulling on that rope. And that allowed them to focus on the granular detail in their game. And I think we're seeing that more and more because to me, what happened, you guys, what transpired over the next couple of months, the defensive habits, the back checking, the grinding, those sunk into McDavid and Draisaitl's game and have now become more second nature than I think they have ever been in their game. Before, it was like, oh, I should probably do this now.
Yeah.
Now they're just doing it. And I think there was a shift when they got help.
I think, yes. And I think, they're convinced now that it works. They don't have to take super long shifts. They don't have to score, a hat trick for the team to win. Let's be clear. I thought that both those two guys really were instrumental in winning this game in those first two, like the first period, right? Let's call it what it is. But that's going to happen. They're elite players. That's just going to happen. And you need that to happen. But it wasn't like they didn't have other guys helping them out, and other guys were pushing the pace. And I think we could also include some of the D. I think we include Mike Smith, who had a very strong first period. Yeah. They got it going, right? So they're looking around and they're like, okay, we hear what you're saying, coach, but now show me that it works. And it has worked, and it has been working for, I'll call it 2 months, just to give it a number. It's been working for 2 months. So now they're like, guys, we're believing in you. And so Connor McDavid, as to TR's point, he's like, I'm going to go grind and get this puck out of the corner, and I'm going to give it to someone else because they're going to score, because I know that eventually someone's going to go do it for me or back check properly. And that's that, esprit de corps, as they like to call it, where you get that stuff together, and now we're working for each other. And I thought afterward the game, Connor was asked about, the fact that he has 6 points, but he doesn't have to do it all. He's like, it doesn't matter who scores, and I'm putting work, but that it just, we're here to win. Whether you win 8-2 or whatever it is, you're here to win the game. It doesn't matter. And yes, I have guys helping, but it is about winning the game. And ultimately, that's really what it doesn't matter. Who cares which goalie, which D, who's the first star, whatever, who gets the first beer after the game, although they probably don't drink beer anymore. But that to me is a big indication of how he's thinking and feeling about this team.
Zuby, let's grab the Connor McDavid clip here as we take our last trip back to the Average Joe soundbox. Just talking about this team that continues to kind of find a way.
Just finding ways to win games. That's all that matters this time of year. It doesn't really matter how it looks or what happens. I think we've done a good job of playing well, playing hard. We've been physical. They kind of pushed back today, and I thought we responded well.
TR, what's the pathway for LA to get back into this thing? They've been outscored, or they've given up 14 goals in the last 2 games here. Is there a pathway, or is this now about if the Oilers can just continue to have their foot on this pedal?
That's a great question. And I got one thing to ask you guys first. What's the Oilers' record when they score first? Do you guys know? Like, it seems to me, because when they score first, especially okay, it's good. I mean, it would seem to me a team with so much response and I mean passion last night. I don't want to get too far with that. I know there's been patches during the year where it hasn't quite been the case, but to me, they're coming together. They're having fun. When they get a lead, I don't know. I wouldn't want to have to come back against McDavid, Draisaitl and company, too consistently. So I would think try to get the first goal. That's easier said than done. Let's go get the first goal. I mean, if you could just do that, everybody would be up 1-0. But I don't know. I mean, I really don't think they're as good of a team. I'm not trying to, woo your audience here, but I don't know. Come out the same way. They hit everything that moved. They made some bad decisions. Their best player, Kopitar, didn't quite seem that he had his game, but I mean, he was trying hard. He tried to run a few people over. Matt Waugh, was it? I mean, hit Draisaitl right off the bat. That's what I would do. I would do what they did, but they got beat. Now, I guess it comes down to systems. They can change those things, and I wasn't really watching what kind of breakouts and all those things, but it probably comes down to the systems and the in-game format that they have chosen for themselves. I thought their effort, I would have done exactly what they did, and they didn't come up. They got crushed. So I don't know. Edmonton are the better team, and it showed.
Producer Chris, behind the scenes, guys, fast on the draw, 32-2-1 this season when scoring the first goal, 31-0 when leading after 1, 36-1-1 when leading after 2. So that solidifies your point, TR. This is not an easy team to come back against. Getting notification that we've run out of time on our Zoom meeting again, guys. So I think that's an indication we're having fun talking hockey together, but we probably got to shut her down and let you guys get on with your days. TR, thanks, man. You going to come back and do this again?
For sure. Whenever you guys want. I actually really enjoy watching the Oilers, and I've got an affinity with Western Canada, and I'll be out there again soon. So whenever you want me, I'm your guy.
TR, thanks for coming on, buddy. Next time I see you, you can give me some fashion tips.
Nice, Struds, and that's going to be sooner than later. And who knows? Maybe I'll work in a Strud roast on the way to Joaquin Gage's roast.
Oh God, give me a break.
Next time you hear from me, might be in a few days, my friend. And
oh boy,
I don't know if I'd be looking forward to it.
Struddy, you're going to have to up your scarf game. Like podcast scarf. Doing an indoor podcast. He's inside. He's got the lumberjack going, and he's got the scarf, the backwards hat, and the missing tooth. This is the guy you want advice from?
I know. I do.
Well, if nothing else, it's unique.
Yeah, my wife would love it. My wife would love it.
Oh, she
great
does
stuff.
love it.
Yeah. Hey-oh. All right. That was the breakdown. Brought to you by Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road. Make sure you visit parkmazda.ca. Thanks so much, guys. Plenty more to come here on the podcast. This is Got Your Back, presented by my brothers, DLR Vinyl Products. Hey, Struddy, question for you. Have you ever tried putting in your own fence?
I sure have. Between digging the posts, mixing up cement and digging the holes, it's absolute killer.
It's brutal on the back. Well, listen, what if I told you could put in a fence without having to dig a hole or mix any concrete?
I'd be much more likely to come over and help you out.
Yeah, well, you're not the first guy I would call, but thank you for that. Listen, my brother's company, DLR Vinyl Products, they've come up with a system where you can actually put high-quality vinyl fence in the ground without having to dig a hole, without having to mix any concrete. They can teach do-it-yourselfers how to do it, and they can also work with contractors who might be looking to start installing vinyl. It's super high-quality product. The great thing about it is that it has fantastic longevity. You put it in, you don't have to worry about staining or sanding or anything like that. I've been lucky enough, Struddy. They've put in multiple fences in my different yards, and they've built me 3 decks. I have totally abused the fact that my family is in the fencing and decking business, but it's great product. Give Rob a call in Calgary or Rick a call here in Edmonton. This is a company my dad started. It's a family business. I'm super proud of it, and I'm very proud that they are our title sponsors. That's DLR Vinyl Products in Edmonton and Calgary.
If you're a business owner looking for a general contractor to build or renovate your business, no matter how big or small, Bell Van Construction should be your first call. Specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces, Bell Van can assist you from start to finish. Learn more by going to bellvanconstruction.com.
Hey, it's Ryan Rashog. While many are feeling the sting of inventory shortages, Park Mazda has you covered. They've got new Mazdas arriving every month, including the redesigned 22CX-5 in whatever color you're looking for. They've also got a huge selection of used vehicles with new arrivals every week and some of the most competitive interest rates on cars, trucks, SUVs, and more. Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park, off Y Road. Schedule a test drive at parkmazda.ca.
All right, time now for Strudwick and Dregs, courtesy Bell Van Construction. They specialize in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces. Visit bellvanconstruction.com. I have to say, Struds, you look like you've spent some time doing some hard labor on a construction site this morning. Like, are you leaking? Are you fully sweating?
I know.
Is that sweat around your collar?
I worked out. I know that's the shadows, but no, this is the plunging V neckline, right? I thought I'd give a little bit of something
That's
to
aggressive.
The viewers that are into it. A plunging neckline. I know that Dregs really likes it, but I did have a little workout this morning. I'm feeling good about myself, guys. I was in a charity tournament yesterday, potted a couple of goals, +4 in 3 games. Pretty good. I might get invited back to Hockey Helps Homeless.
So this was going to go one of two ways. Either it was the healthy explanation, which is the workout, or you were bobbing for fries or doing something else, because that's a slippery look right now.
You're greasy, bud.
I'm not Jamie McLennan. That guy, he's the only guy I know that can work out and talk on the phone and do a segment all at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's an awful workout he has.
The man is the ultimate multitasker. Okay, guys, let's maybe start, Dregs, with the Oiler game last night. Struds and I just finished breaking it down, but from a distance, lots of questions about the Oilers and this first round success. What have you seen through 3 games as you've sort of kept an eye on them, and what do you think the narrative is from the center of the universe out there?
Well, I mean, there seems to be a higher level of commitment from the group in general, not just the stars in Draisaitl and McDavid. And you look at the ads, and isn't it just abundantly obvious now how badly the Oilers needed the extra help? Not at all surprised that Zach Hyman is being rewarded. We saw that last night. Watched him very closely when he was with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, if he wasn't generating offense, he was, trying to get something going for his line mates, and he never took a shift off. And you guys probably see that firsthand now in his work this season with the Edmonton Oilers. And, then you look at the production of Evander Kane. You can look at the score sheet, and it's obvious that he was a key figure in that real lopsided win in Los Angeles to open the 2-game set there. But you do have to rewind and look at how significant his play has been with his time in Edmonton. I mean, he essentially comes off the scrap heap. You don't really know what you're going to get. You've got, the hope and the belief that there's a power forward somewhere in there that might be able to make a difference. Well, man, he has made a significant difference. And it just is, again, clear to me how badly they needed that guy on the left side to give Connor McDavid and that group a little bit more of a push.
Yeah, Dregs, you look at the upgrades on the wing compared to last year. Let's just go to the Winnipeg series. I mean, it is massive. But I think what I like most about Kane, I'd love to get your thoughts, is he's a bully on the ice. And I think he leads the bullies attack. And bully's a good thing in hockey. You look at him, you look at Cassian, you look at, you mentioned Hyman. I think Fogel's got it. Leon, he was taking some hits, but he's not sitting back either. Like, you need to have a bully. And to push people around. And when he goes in that forecheck, the LA D are looking over their shoulder like, oh my God, is this guy going to score or run me over?
Yeah, and he's dialed in right now too, isn't he, guys? Yeah. In terms of there's not a recklessness to that game. Sure. There's a full-on commitment. And to your point, Struds, he's charging on the forecheck, but he's not doing it in a manner that potentially is going to get the Oilers in trouble. His timing is impeccable, and he's hungry. It's fun to score goals, I assume. Never scored one. But
don't ask Struds.
Just not. Yeah. We just talked about the charity game he played where he was tremendous. So very similar. But no, I mean, he's got his game together. Now, whether or not, the group is going to be able to sustain it, not just individually, that had to be a big lift for them, right? They opened the series in the way that they did. That the Los Angeles Kings are going to find a way to claw back just based on the structure that normally they play with. And Edmonton responds the way that they needed to. Maybe not, and again, how decisive the outcome of that game was, but how to a man, including Mike Smith, who was just ready to go in a battle. So to your point, though, like you think of the power forwards in today's postseason, I mean, there are a few, but they're none better than the way Evander Kane is playing right now.
Yeah, the best acquisition in the league this year so far, do you think? Like of all the teams that added all the players, maybe that's a big question, but I mean, his points per game, his goals per game. I don't think there's been a better acquisition in the league this year, guys.
No, I would agree with that. And again, he kind of landed in the Oilers' lap, but it's not like you bring in Evander Kane and everything that comes with Evander Kane without significant amount of risk. If it didn't work out, Kenny Holland looks like a moron. Like who's kidding who? They're going to look at him and go, "What did you do that for?" Short-term risk, I can appreciate that. But to your point, this feels now like and Ryan, you've said this publicly before, the biggest deal that Ken Holland made had nothing to do with the trade deadline and had everything to do with bringing Evander Kane in when they did. Now, you look at the trade deadline, and not to shift it entirely over to the Maple Leafs, but I look at Mark Giordano, and I'm sorry, I watched Mark Giordano a handful of times in Seattle before getting moved. He did not look then like the Mark Giordano we see now with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So obviously a different type of player, but the impact is close. Not as significant as Evander Kane and what he's delivered to Edmonton, but not, these deals, especially the deadline deals, don't often pay dividends.
Yeah,
they don't.
I agree.
They don't.
Agree.
But in Toronto's case, it seems to be working out.
Just shifting gears over to Toronto, stay with it. How important is it to Maple Leafs psyche to hold on to that lead with 14 minutes to go under pressure against a two-time Stanley Cup chance, not to mention a goalie who's trying to find himself, and the other end, Vasilevsky. I think one word says it all.
Well, look, guys, for me, going into game 3, I think we knew that the Tampa Bay Lightning would push back. They weren't going to get mauled in the fashion that they were in the series opener, and they did in game 2. The Stars shone, and now automatically you're looking at that series and you're going, okay, well, wait a second here. Is Toronto going to be able to get to Vasilevsky? Victor Hedman was Norris Trophy winning Victor Hedman in game 2. Kucherov, Stamkos, Point. I mean, they all introduced themselves to that series, and I think that collectively, maybe not the players, but Leafs Nation went, we poked the bear, and the bear isn't happy. But Toronto did what they had to do. The power play clicked. Morgan Riley scores a big goal for them relatively early. For me, though, the turning point was the timeout. We argued about it a little bit on the panel because, and I was sitting there watching that game off air. Dave Poulin and Jeff O'Neill both scream at the TV, no, when Sheldon Keefe called the timeout after Andre Palat scored the 3-2 goal, right? They're thinking, what are you doing? You're going to give Tampa Bay more momentum here. And you could tell just by the mannerisms how you could see Sheldon Keefe was literally yelling at his players. Now, it was probably loud in that building, so I'm not saying he was yelling at them, but he was getting their attention. He was saying, look, this is a maturity test for us. Let's just pump the brakes. We're fine. We're playing great hockey here. Let's just continue on. Well, the next thing that happens, Jake Muzzin takes a hooking penalty, and they're in the juice again a little bit more. But that for me was a turning point because there was no panic. They just found a way to persevere, and Mikheyev gets back-to-back empty netters, and they seal the game.
So Pooley didn't want the timeout. You wanted the timeout. You sensed that it was the right call in the moment?
I mean, I didn't really care about the timeout. I didn't think I could appreciate why he was doing it. Like, I mean, he must have seen something on the ice looking in a player's eyes, hearing something on the bench, watching their shoulders sag after Palat scores that goal and pulls Tampa Bay within one, where he goes, okay, hold on. I've seen this act before. I'm going to yank the chain a little bit here. This is the right time to do it. And Pooley told another great story, and he didn't mention the general manager, but it was a coaching experience he had where he called a timeout in a game, whatever goes their way after the game. He asked his GM, do you think that was the right time to call the timeout? And the GM said to Pooley, I'm never going to question the coach in his assessment of when the right time is to call that timeout. What I will question is if after the game you still have the timeout and you didn't call it and we lost. So I give the benefit of the doubt to Sheldon Keefe. Whatever he saw, he acted on.
You know what, guys? I was watching that game too, and I saw it, and I like the call. I think it's just a settling. I think what you're doing is, and I got the same sense. I don't think he was, scolding them. He was encouraging them, saying, guys, we've got this. And as a player, to hear that from your coach in that moment when a team's charging, like we can do this. And I really think that's a very mature move by a coach who doesn't have a ton of NHL playoff experience. I really like that decision. And it takes courage to make that call, because you're right. If it gets tied up or they get down, they also need that timeout. But it's like, I believe in my guys. And I love it. I thought I was a bit surprised, but I really liked it after he did. I thought it shows maturity, and he believes in his group. And I think that is going to reflect in that group's play maybe moving forward.
And Dregs, because he wasn't here to defend himself, I text Pooley and said, Dregs is throwing you under the bus on the podcast a little here, says he was right about the timeout. Pooley says, well, define right. Dregs was right because they won and because only the coach and maybe his assistants have the exact pulse. He clearly sensed something. So I just want to be fair to Pooley, right? So I'm getting him engaged in the conversation.
No, I get it. And that's perfect. And I, maybe I wasn't smart enough or paying close attention or dialed in enough at the time. I was watching the hockey game and I was observing. Maybe I'm not quite as invested as the cheerleaders on the panel.
He adds in, players hate those timeouts. It's a sign of something being wrong, which it clearly was for Keefe. So Dave Poulin joining the Duthie Dreger Rashog segment. Thanks, Pooley. Appreciate that. I thought the depth scoring mattered. I mean, everybody knows they rely heavily on their big guns, but when you start getting goals from like the Camps and the Blackwells and the McKaybs and the Engvals and guys just by the way, I love the passover on the empty net goal too. I just like seeing that stuff. I think that stuff matters to a team.
Well, but there's a bit of a backstory on that one. I don't know if you guys watched it last week. It was near the end of the regular season, and Willie Nylander had 2 goals at that point in the game. Engvall had the puck, and he could have easily dished over for Nylander to get the empty netter, and instead he scored it himself. And they were in the offensive zone. It's not like it was a neutral zone play. And Nylander looked at him like, So I don't know if the fellas got on him after that, but it was very unselfish. There were a couple of plays in that game that kind of support what you're saying. Lyubushkin is an interesting character. Again, a trade acquisition by the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't think that they could have predicted that he was going to be as impactful as he's turned out to be. I mean, you guys remember watching him in Arizona. I mean, he was fine. He was a good defensive defenseman, physical, honest player, but not much more than that. In Toronto, he's been a lot more than that. He steps out of the penalty box after taking a marginal penalty, but a penalty nonetheless. And makes a real patient heads-up play over to Colin Blackwell, who's got the empty netter. So, Shogger, you're right. I mean, it's not often in series, your top players will just neutralize the other team's top players. And we kind of saw that, although John Cooper played the matchup game last night. And he had Anthony Cirelli is one of my favorite players in the game, period. And he was all over Matthews and Marner. They still have their chances. But, when you've got guys like Riley stepping up on the power play, Lyubushkin making that play to Colin Blackwell, David Kampf has been so good for the Leafs in a couple of different ways. He's taken heat off them with his defensive zone draws. And evidently, in this series, he's proven he can shoot the puck. I mean, shorthanded goal the other night and another big goal for him in game 3. So, yeah, that secondary offense has made a difference.
Just going to soak up that moment that you and I just had there, Dregs. You actually gave me a little bit of a compliment there. That felt good. I believe your words were, Shogger, you're right. That's not something I often get from you. I'm just going to let that breathe for a minute. That felt really nice.
I'm actually surprised you're able to do this and you're not like snooping around playing the detective in some arena somewhere in Los Angeles, trying to make sure the lights are on and the nets are where they need to be.
I reported what I saw, right? You report what's in front of you. If you have an issue with it, let's have a discussion.
I don't.
No, you were chirping me on our text messages. You were getting after me. I reported what I saw. It's very unusual, guys, to see a bunch of NHL players skating around in the dark, asking the rink attendants for the net and not being given the nets. That's unusual. That's what I reported.
No, I get it. Yeah.
His next tweet is that the shower water is slightly chilled.
I did hear that the pucks might have been a little warm too.
What I enjoyed, and I always enjoy when somebody throws shade at Ryan Rishaug, was Helene Elliott reporting and quoting the head of the department saying it must be a slow news day in Edmonton, because I got the same response from a high-ranking executive of hockey operations of the National Hockey League.
Must be a slow news day.
Yeah.
Well, when you're sitting in the rink and you see Dave Manson skate over and try and physically take a net from a rink attendant, and the employee of the year, I imagine, is like, no, I'm good. He actually held on to the net. Good. But you know what? A couple of years ago, it was the San Jose Sharks and Oilers, and Todd McClellan was the coach. And the same thing happened. The lights weren't on time, and there was kind of this stuff going on ahead of time. So I reported on it then. I think, Dregs, you might have been, I can't remember if you're with me or not on that series. I reported on it.
Yeah.
So the series shifts back to Edmonton, and I'm walking up into the stands, and San Jose is about to practice, and I'm walking, and I hear, "Hey, Ryan!" And I turn and look, and it's Joe Thornton on the ice. And then the Sharks are all standing along their bench, and he's like,
I do remember this.
He goes, "The ice isn't dry. Why don't you tweet that shit?" So, hey, you know, we take a bit of a beating sometimes, but we report what we see. And I will remind you, I'm the same guy that reported that it was an Oiler coach who got booted out of the LA practice. So I'm an equal opportunity prick, I guess.
I got to tell one quick story, because this is maybe why it didn't bug me. It's just I'm sensitive to it, because I did something similar and I've never forgotten, and I still to this day regret it. It was during the first, what year was it? Detroit and Pittsburgh Stanley Cup final. Anyway, we're in Detroit, the old Joe Louis, and Mike Babcock, head coach of the Red Wings at the time, told me that he overheard a ref say something, you know. And it wasn't that, you know, the ref was telling him to F off or, you know, be quiet or any of that. It was questioning the integrity of the official's job, saying, "I'm going to get you for this, this, and this." Well, I report it. I report it. And, you know, a day later, that official comes to me in the bowels of the arena and says, "You could have asked me. You know, I see you here all the time. I never said that." I don't know who said that. And maybe he's making it up just to try and stir things up. I did not say that. And that's always stuck with me.
Yeah. So lesson being, maybe check ahead of time. Is that what you're
No. I mean, you had the video to support it though, right? That was fine. I was okay with it. I just love when you kind of get twisted a little bit. That makes me happy.
It was a great tweet by Helene, though. It was a great tweet. She went to the top of the president of Crypto Arena. It was like,
well, because Luke Robitaille wasn't available. So I mean.
Exactly. But they also did say that the ice was going to be ready at 10 after from here on out. And Dregs, we've been at these playoff series for years. Teams always go on the ice early. Everybody knows teams go on the ice early. And there was nothing going on at that rink that morning. There was no reason for them to have it ready at 25 minutes after. But anyways, the rink staff's just doing their job. I want to make that clear. They're just doing their jobs. They've all got bosses.
You're just covering up now, and you're sucking.
Okay, this was lots of fun, but Zuby, time to roll the music, because you guys know what time it is, right? It's time for everybody's favorite game show.
Strati, you go first.
Too much information, where we ask questions until things get a little bit weird about a strangely specific topic. This game show brought to you by sponsors still to be determined. All right, this is hotel room edition, guys, since I am in a hotel
it's already
room right
weird.
now.
Yeah.
Okay, Struds, you first. You arrive to a hotel. Do you completely unpack, drawers and all, or do you live out of the suitcase for a day or two?
I've been in hundreds of hotels. I've never once put anything in a drawer because then I have to take it out again. So never one time.
What's the matter with you?
I never do it. I'll hang up my suits, but the rest stays in my nice little bag. And I like to throw it. There's 2 beds. I throw it on the other bed, and my bed, that second bed becomes the holder of all my clothes. The CK underwear I like to wear, all black.
Just Dregs, 1 sec. Zuby, back off on the music a bit, bud. That's a little aggressive. There we go. Chris Sabuni in Kelowna. Normally, I'm the one at the controls, but because I'm on the road, Zuby's doing it, so he's getting a little excited with the music. Okay, Dregs, you unpack or live out of this? Even still a little bit, Chris. Bring her down. Bring her down.
Yeah, I've got time limitations, right? So I do a little of both. If I'm in that same hotel room for more than 2 days, then I completely unpack because I don't want stuff hanging around. In fact, I'm so specific. Like, I open up the closet and I've already got the laundry bag ready. So when I shower, the socks, the boxers, they go into the laundry bag tucked away in the corner in the closet with the doors closed. So I get very, very specific.
Meticulous.
Yeah. Okay. Room service arrives. Eat on the desk or tray on the bed and eat?
Tray on the bed. And then as soon as I'm done, it's right outside the door, and then someone can pick it up as they go by.
I'm tray on the bed too.
No, I'm tray on the desk. No,
really?
I'm not getting crumbs on the bed. I'm not doing that. And I don't go with the 2 queens. I always go with the king. Always.
Who goes with the 2 queens ever? If you have a choice.
Well, Struddy just said he
like
puts his stuff on the other bed.
Yeah. I like the 2 because the one bed I'll lay on and watch TV. The other one I sleep on.
Yeah.
What? Why can't you sleep on the same bed you watch TV on?
Well, because I have my clothes on, right?
Oh my
don't
gosh.
relate the same film.
Struds, you need. Yeah. Wow. Okay,
I do like the idea though. I'm the same way. As soon as I'm done my meal, it's out the door.
100%.
But I call.
Oh, geez.
Oh, that's good.
To say the tray is outside my door.
Yeah. Okay, very good. Take the shampoos or leave them. I think we all know this one.
Yeah, I bring my own shampoo for starters.
Struds, you take them, don't you?
No, I don't, but I take the lotion. I don't like I do. I take the lotion.
You do.
I do. I was at one time I went to Mexico with my family, and there was the biggest jar of lotion. And I went to the other people, I took it,
buddy.
And it was so good. It smells so good. My skin is so soft.
Okay, it depends. No, like, are we staying at Motel 6 here, or are we staying at the Boca Beach Resort? Because, and Ryan, you've never stayed at the Boca Beach Resort because you're part of the B team. But if I'm staying at the Boca Beach,
it's true.
I will absolutely take the shampoos and the lotions and anything that isn't attached, because it is fantastic. They've got that smell, that ocean breeze scent, absolutely nailed down.
It is true what you said. They did, like Mackenzie and Dregs, the insiders all stay at the Boca Beach Resort with the GMs. Parker and I are in a hotel down the street. Struds, by the way, you look like you got about a half bottle of lotion on your forehead right now, just slathered on your forehead right now. Okay, if you had a choice between quality pillows or a quality shower head, which would you choose?
Well, pillows. You spend more time on those things, right? You got to think about the time, right? You're 7, 5, 8 hours, however long you sleep. I can't stand a tiny little pillow. I like big, fluffy pillows.
Okay, this is the point where it's going to get weird. I agree with Struds. I had a nerve problem in my shoulder, and it got fixed by a pillow. The doctor prescribed a $400 pillow.
A My Pillow?
No.
His pillow.
It's but anyway, it had a divot in there, so it put pressure on your back and it relieved the pinched nerve. So I don't travel with it, but I've considered traveling with it because it's that good. Yeah. However, here's where it gets weird. I have to have a bathtub in my room.
Oh boy, I don't even want to think about that. I don't want to think about that.
When you say have to, like, are you talking it's going to be an issue at the front desk upon check-in if you don't?
Yeah. I mean, you know, look, if I'm only staying the night, it's not a deal breaker. But for playoff series coverage, a Stanley Cup final, I need my Epsom salts.
What do you need a bath for? What are you, 7? Who takes baths?
Hey, look at Epsom salt baths. It draws the toxins out of your body. It's healthy. So I sit there, I soak. Maybe I have a splash of whiskey, you know, after a long day.
You know what else takes the toxins out of your body?
Nighttime bath?
Running or riding a bike, going for a walk.
Or
those things also do
or
it.
not stuffing your body full of toxins all day, every day also is effective. So a nighttime bath with a glass of whiskey. This is what we've uncovered.
Maybe a candle.
Pillow.
Candle.
Some Xanthir playing
all right,
on his
last
music.
one. Shaving. Towel, house coat, or nothing while you're shaving in your hotel room.
I shave in the shower. It gets a nice heat, and then it just comes right off. So I guess I'm naked in your fantasy.
Yeah. I'm not shaving in the shower, but I am also au naturel.
Oh boy. In his tub.
Au naturel. You snuck this in when Dregs and I were, or when James and I were having the discussion about the house coats. I forgot I was going to tweet a promo about this. In the background, you went, "Au naturel," in the creepiest way ever. How much are you au naturel in your hotel rooms, buddy? I don't think I want to know.
Shockingly, quite a bit.
Oh God, that's why I don't want to lay on bed.
Yeah.
So never lay on a bed naked.
So this is also weird. I have more. I've done it many times. Lay on the bed naked. But I will not walk across the carpet without socks on or flip-flops because I'm not getting what's ever in that carpet on my skin.
So you'll lay on a bed naked. You don't know what's been done or who's been on that bed, but you won't walk across the floor.
I told you it's bizarre.
That is you've said a lot of weird things, but that to me is the top.
All right. This has been far too freaking much information. Brought to you by no one's ever going to sponsor this segment after that mess that just occurred. Thanks so much, guys. This was awesome. Duthie, Dregs, Strudwick, Rashad, courtesy Belvan Construction, specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces. Visit belvanconstruction.com. Stick with us as sponsors, Belvan. Please stick with us. You're listening to Got Your Back, presented by DLR Vinyl Products. This was not okay, you guys. Not okay.
It wasn't.
Folks, golf season is just around the corner, and I don't know about you, but I am some kind of fired up over it. It's the perfect time to get yourself fitted for new clubs or some great new apparel. Well, De Boers has you covered for all of it. Their facility is first class with amazing TrackMan technology in their simulators and top-of-the-field fitting specialists. You can order now for spring delivery, and they've also got a bunch of new 22 apparel for you to go check out. It's a fantastic group down there at De Boers. The shop has a great positive feel. I highly recommend you check them out on the corner of 53rd Street and 99th Avenue. De Boers, helping you play better golf since 1999. Average Joe's Sports Bar in Sherwood Park has proudly served the community and supported minor sports in the area for almost 20 years. It's a great gathering place for sports fans. Average Joe's has massive big screen TVs, comfortable seating, and a friendly staff waiting to make your experience anything but average. Come check it out on Baseline Road, right next to Home Depot, or make a reservation by calling 780-417-1113. That's Average Joe's on Baseline Road in Sherwood Park.
All right, time now for Who's Got Your Back, brought to you by De Boers, helping you play better golf. De Boers is your local golf shop for the last 23 years. Friendly staff, a great facility. They can help outfit you with better gear. They can help improve your game, your swing. They can specialize and fit clubs. They got a great fitting center there as well. So if you're just getting into your golf game this year and you want to spice things up a little bit, maybe take things to the next level, make sure you go and check in with the crew down at De Boers. All right, Zuby, we'll get to our story in a minute here. You lived in Edmonton for quite some time, and you know all about the Stollery and what it means to the city, don't you?
Oh yeah, big time. I mean, especially working in news, we covered lots of those stories. Just like some absolutely some heart-wrenching stuff, but some incredibly positive things as well, and inspirational stories for sure.
Yeah, it really is one of those gems in our city that I think everybody in the area, in the province, frankly, I think just takes a lot of pride in what a great facility it is, the great work that they do, the men and women and everybody that work there. Boy, they're made of different stuff, and we really greatly appreciate them. So as we head to our Average Joe's inbox, we're going to read a story from Brad Hainstock, whose family has had to lean on the Stollery in their time. In 2005, Brad writes, our oldest was diagnosed with a form of childhood cancer. We were numb. Our girls were 11 and 7. We were admitted to the childhood oncology unit at the Stollery. We would have never made it without the care of the doctors, nurses, clerks, support staff, child life specialists, Kids with Cancer Society, and Edmontonians who support the Stollery. If you name it, they helped us in that way. When your kid is fighting cancer, it takes way more than just one to have your back. And in March 2022, our oldest gave us a grandson. Edmonton and the Stollery had our back. And that comes to us from Brad Hainstock. So Brad, to you and your family, thank you so much for sharing that story. And it gives us an opportunity to shine a little bit more light on a facility and a group of people who do absolutely incredible work here in Edmonton. So Chris, you want to throw the link up there? We're going to remind you of the ways that you can donate to the Stollery. Got your back, made a donation today. We definitely encourage you to do the same. www.stollerykids.com/ways to give. That's www.stollerykids.com/ways to give. Just an amazing facility, amazing staff, and very much proud to have that part of our community and all of the good that they do. So once again, thank you for that story. And a reminder, we want to hear your story here on Got Your Back. Sometimes it'll be guests doing the storytelling, but we love it when it's our listeners as well, like Brad took the opportunity to do. gybpod@gmail.com is the email address. That's gybpod@gmail.com. That story made me think about the Stelters. Young Ben Stelter and his dad, the family, they're in Los Angeles right now, taking Ben on a tour through Disneyland. I don't know if you've been keeping up with them, Chris, but just really neat the way they're documenting this journey that they're on, just trying to have tons and tons of fun and making Ben part of this Oiler run. It's pretty cool.
And pretty cool. Was he able to get to any of the, is he planning to go to either the LA games? Were they going to make it to a game?
I'm not sure. Yeah, they were, I know they were doing Disneyland. Like they've done some stuff from Disneyland, but they were actually still made part of it. I'm going to actually, I'll try and play it off my phone here. I'm not sure how well people will be able to hear it, but yesterday, so the Oilers tweeted, we brought in our buddy Ben to choose our hashtag Oilers Twitter player to watch for game 3. And I'll try and play the audio here. Hopefully this works because Ben is just amazing. So listen to what he had to say.
The Oilers guy to watch tonight is McDavid.
The Oilers player to watch tonight is McDavid. And man, did Ben ever nail that? Because in that first period, Connor McDavid was absolutely critical. What a prognostication from Ben.
Kid's got a future in this for sure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So I want to send a big shout out to the Stelter family. Hope you're having an amazing trip. That's going to wrap it up. This was a fun podcast today. I don't know. Felt like this one was half decent. Dregs brought some weird stuff to the table. Zuby?
That got really weird. That got I felt like you let that go weirder even than we usually do. I felt it could have ended at like 2 or 3 answers before you declared it to be too weird.
I'm kind of like pushing Dregs just to see how far he'll take it. So what we've learned about him, Naturel, in the hotel room, takes baths with the scotch. We've learned a lot about him on the podcast so far. I love peeling back the layers on Darren Dreger here on Got Your Back. I wonder how far it'll go.
And the mental image for me of and Struds threw that out there too, of him saying, "Oh, you'll lie on the bed, oh Naturel, but you I got to have socks on to walk around." And then I'm picturing Dreger, oh Naturel, but with socks. And then I'm just like, that was what was in my mind. I couldn't get that image out of my head. So that kind of ruined my morning, to be honest.
Oh, none of this is okay, but we're going to keep doing it because it's lots of fun. And because I don't know, well, as long as we have sponsors, we'll keep doing this.
That's right. Yeah.
So anyways, that'll wrap it up for another episode here from Los Angeles. Thanks for everything today, Zuby. Great job as always. A big thank you to our sponsors as well. DLR Vinyl Products. Those are my brothers, Rick and Rob, locations in Calgary and in Edmonton. Park Mazda, Belvan Construction, DeBoer's Golf Shop, and Average Joe's Sports Bar in Sherwood Park. Huge win for the Oilers. Feels like they're kind of grabbing this thing by the throat. So the question now, will LA be able to counterpunch, or are the Oilers going to impose their will? Probably going to drop another podcast, maybe even a live stream here in the next couple of days. So give us a download. If you download, then when you hop into your podcast app, we'll be right there waiting for you. We love the support. We appreciate the support. Zuby, have an awesome day. And everybody out there, enjoy your Saturday, Sunday. Look forward to Game 4, folks.
Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, yeah. Happy Mother's Day in advance. Thanks, buddy. You just saved me.